I experienced premature ejaculation for 5 years, and during that time, I tried a lot of stuff to fix it. I was trying all that physical stuff, those tricks like try to masturbate before going to have sex, the Kegels, the pelvic floors exercises, and all the tricks that I could find on the internet. And instead of getting better, it actually started to get worse, and I kind of started to lose hope a little bit. And it wasn't until I came across of a couple of weird practices that I never thought they were going to do anything that things started to improve. Actually, in 30 days, I went from 30 seconds to 30 minutes in bed. That was a total shock for me, and experiencing that changed my world forever. And I want to make that possible for you as well. My name is Jesus Noya, and I help men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant, and be more attractive. All this while avoiding the deadly mistakes that I made through my sex life. This comes from my medical background of being a medicine student and 5 years of experiencing things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, and non-existent sexual confidence. I want to save you the pain of wasting time and money trying to fix premature ejaculation with shit that doesn't even work and expecting results that will never come. With today's video, I'm going to help you to last longer in bed, increase your sexual confidence, and enjoy sex in ways that you never did before. And if you want to be able to fuck for hours and leave her biting her lips anytime that she thinks about you just because of how much of a great lover you are, go and click the link in the description right now. Because I know how soul-crushing it is to not be able to satisfy your woman in the way that you want. And I want to make sure that you live towards your full sex potential as a real man, where you're able to leave her there just getting like contraction and greeting her like a pretzel. We're gonna cover 5 points that will help you to last longer in bed as soon as possible and fix premature ejaculation fast. I'm gonna explain why your mind is everything for sex, the noise cancelling method, arousal control, mind-body connection, and in real life practices for this. And I know it sounds weird, but I promise that I'm going to explain everything. When I started experiencing premature ejaculation, I didn't know exactly how to address it, and that's why I was trying all these kind of physical tricks that I could find. And when it started to become more of a real problem, I was making my research and I found that it has a next name that is performance anxiety. And that's when I started to connect the dots and realize that okay, if anxiety is something that is more in my mind, then if I start to address that, it should improve, right? And I was right. If I was able to overcome anxiety and have a better control of my mind, then it would be gone. That's an easy fix, but it would get even more interesting. All those things would come from psychological factors like your self-image, your confidence, your inner state, even how you react to physical or external stimulus. That actually comes from the mind as well. It's the mind that's making all the work. So if my mental and psychological state was trash, then sex would be the same. And it was, both of them. And the same actually happens with most people. Almost nobody have good sex, and it's because most of them have terrible state of mind. They fucked up psychologically. But the good news were that the better my mental health, the better my mental state, the better my sex life as well. They were both linked. And if I was able to go further and have more control of it, then I could become a master on it. And the moment that I realized this, I understood why mind is everything for sex, and I should be focusing a lot of my attention on it if I wanted to improve my sex life. In my mind suddenly clicked why all the spiritual guys actually are sex gurus and fuck a lot, because they have control of their minds, and that's why women feel so attracted and end up sleeping with yoga teacher. So if you want to be able to last longer in bed as soon as possible, I encourage you to focus on this. The first method that I went through is something that I call the noise cancelling method. Unfortunately, because I was an idiot when I was young, I spent years masturbating daily and also watching porn anytime that I had internet. It wasn't that often, but it was still very bad. And I didn't realize until it was too late that that fucked up my mind to some degree, and that was one of the reasons of why I was experiencing premature ejaculation. Imagine your head like a clean room, a clean space where we're supposed to have everything organized. I was putting a lot of garbage and BS in there. And besides that, anytime that I was watching porn or doing some stupid shit, I was like breaking the walls and the ceiling and the floor. That was my mind before. Let me draw something quick for you. Instead of being this clean sound, this clean line, it could look like this. This is the noise that I was putting in. And obviously looking like that, nothing good would happen. So what I need to do is start to cancel that noise, to take that away, to block all the BS that I was putting in there, so I can finally have that line clean and steady again. And to cancel the noise, it's just stopping all the bullshit that we've been doing to put that noise in our heads. This is what people usually call a dopamine detox, and if we want to focus on the sexual part, we need to start canceling the sexual noises. And I'm not talking about the moanings, you guys can be as lost as you want. I'm talking about the things that you're doing that aren't healthy for your sexual life. And whatever input you have right now, if you've been experiencing PE, most probably it's wrong, as it was for me. The biggest sources of noise in our head is usually porn and masturbation. It's part of the worst input that we can put in our brains that will affect our sexual lives. But it could also be from other bad sexual experiences that you had in the past that just marked you in a wrong way and it's still affecting you until today. For example, some guys may have some terrible experiences in the past with other girls, and because of the amount of shame and embarrassment that they have, they start to suffer premature ejaculation after that. But for most men, it would usually be porn and masturbation. One of the things that we totally screw, for example, is the connection between orgasm and ejaculation. We'll learn during those horny teenage years that as soon as we ejaculate would be the glory, so we would always be chasing that as soon as possible. And we glorify ejaculation so much that now that we're receiving sexual stimulus in real life, it's totally fucked up. And if we add to that the anxiety from hiding and not letting our parents know what we're doing, and like getting locked in the bathroom and that kind of stuff, we got used to that as well. And that's one of the reasons of why I was behaving like a little bitch in bed. I would shake when I was with a woman because of this. You know, I was trying to not make noise, don't move too much, finish quick, don't make a mess. That's how I was acting. Those were the scars from the old days. And porn, of course, just made things worse because of the deprivation from women that I have in the past and from having all this expectation in the screen. In the moment that I finally had a woman in real life, I will be so shaky and oversensitive from all those fucked up thoughts. Porn basically fries like the reception that you're gonna have for sexual stimulus. Some men would be oversensible, as I was, for example, and that's why I would experience premature ejaculation, and others wouldn't be able to feel anything. That's why a lot of men would experience erectile dysfunction or even lack of orgasms when having sex. And during my detox process, I dropped that. No porn, no masturbation, never again. I would put one rule: the only sexual stimulus that I would ever have would come from a real woman. A woman that is in love with me, not a prostitute or anything like that. Only from real life women that are attracted to me. But even then, because I needed a fresh start, I needed a blank state, I just stopped sex completely or any kind of sexual stimulus. No masturbation, no porn, no sex. I just needed some time to start to heal. And if you've been struggling with things like porn and masturbation, this is something I would highly encourage you to do. I know sometimes, especially if you have a girlfriend, stopping sex completely it may be difficult, but believe me, once you start to improve, the quality of sex that you guys are going to have is gonna be way better. I experienced that myself. But right now you need to start canceling all the noise. So now that we have dropped porn and masturbation and those bad habits from before, and now that we are in this healthier state, it's time to relearn the behaviors that will only benefit us in the way that we have sex. The second thing that I went through was learning to control my arousal. Arousal basically is how sensitive we are to sexual stimulus and the way that we respond to it. And when I started to work on this, it was a little bit weird that this was a thing. But this is something that I could improve. I realized that men basically never do this. And that's why, besides not being able to control our ejaculation as men, we cannot avoid thinking with our dick from time to time, because the arousal just go out of control. It's like the sexual arousal is on control of us instead of the opposite, and it can even be expressed in dangerous ways from time to time. But if I was able to control my arousal, I could be able to choose how responsive I was going to be to the stimulus that I was receiving, or even the kind of response that I was going to give, instead of being in this automatic pilot all the time. The best thing that I ever did to control my arousal was to start listening to my body. And a lot of men don't do this because, oh, that's gay, what's that listening to your body? But in my humble opinion, it's more gay being a bitch to your reactions. To listen to my body, I started to bring awareness for like a third person when I started to have sex, and experiencing all the little things very closely and seeing my own reaction and how I was responding to whatever was happening. I will be mindful of those sensations and start to wonder why I was reacting like that, where that was coming from. Was it feeling good? Was it feeling bad? I was actually aware in my mind of the present moment. Instead of there not being present, thinking about other stuff, I was trying to not come too quickly. I was actually feeling every sensation, and that helped a lot. The more conscious I was of my body, I was able to recognize the signals when I was getting closer to ejaculate, and then I could decide what to do about it. It took some time to learn those behaviors, but the difference was astonishing. Things were getting better, but to be able to have control of my ejaculation and experience sex to a different level, I needed to establish a better mind and body connection. Sex is mainly psychological, but we use our body, or physical body, as a transmitter and as a receptor at the same time. And for this process, we use both the mind and body. When this connection is unstable, we lose control and we're not able to decide what, when, or how to experience stuff. We basically basically fall victim to the monkey part of us that is just doing random shit. And that's what was happening to me, you know, monkey scared, monkey acts scary and bitchy. Monkey angry, monkey throws stuff. Monkey anxious, monkey cry. Monkey likes ejaculation, monkey ejaculates as soon as possible. I actually wanted to do something different, but I wasn't the owner of my mind or my body, and that connection was totally lost. That's why I was being controlled for both of them. And for the part of the reception, I wasn't able to enjoy that neither. A girl would start to be sexy and funny and like getting close to me or even ask me to have sex, and I wasn't able to enjoy that. I would be nervous and out of my mind of thinking what was going to happen. And even when she touched me, I just felt bad. That was because I wasn't in control, so I wouldn't experience the things in the way that I wanted to experience. So that what we need to do is totally the opposite. We need to have total control of our mind and body at the same time, and especially in that connection, so we can transmit whatever we want and experience things in the way we want. So what I started to do for this, instead of thinking about something random with having sex or trying not to come too quickly and that kind of stuff, I would bring myself to be 100% present in the moment. Kind of similar to the arousal control, but instead of being awareness of the stimulus, I would be totally mindful of myself. Mindful of the way I was breathing, of the blood going through my body, of my heart rate, of my skin, of my toes, and I would enjoy all that. And anytime that my mind tried to wander to a next place, because that's normal, that's always going to happen, I was bringing it back anytime I realized that I was going to a next place. I just repeated this over and over again. And by doing those three things, canceling the noise, controlling my arousal, and establishing a better mind and body connection, my sex life was never the same. Things just got better and better eventually. Now I'm going to tell you the real life practices, exactly what I did to achieve the results so you can do the same. With the noise cancelling method, I went through a dopamine detox where I didn't have any kind of high stimulus activity, so I could like leave a time for my brain to heal. I didn't just only exclude porn and masturbation. I didn't watch movies, I didn't watch series, I wasn't eating junk food, I didn't indulge in high stimulating activities, so I could start like appreciating more simple things like going on a walk, breathing, a sunny day, that kind of boring stuff. But when I started to have sex, I realized that my mind was clear. I wasn't out of my mind anymore. I didn't have like this overthinking or this anxiety. Everything just felt way more peaceful. That's how the dopamine detox helped me. Also, because of the nature of not masturbating and not having sex, I went through a period of temporary celibacy and semen retention, and I got the benefits from that as well. With the arousal control, I went through a slow and progressive sexual stimulus. Once I felt ready to have sex again, I started with lubricated masturbation, but like doing very slowly and feeling every sensation in my body, so I could realize how the arousal was manifested. This of course without porn. I wasn't doing it because oh yeah I wanted to masturbate. No, it wasn't like that, right? I was doing it in a way so I could start to feel the arousal way more slowly. And I'm not gonna lie, it was even boring. I had to concentrate a lot, like focus, so I could be able to stay hard. And during this time I never ejaculated because my goal wasn't to feel pleasure. I just wanted to train myself to see how the arousal was feeling, and always use lubrication so it could be kind of similar to sex. After that I started to involve my partner gradually, not going directly to sex but doing it gradually, like taking things slowly until I feel ready. Luckily for me and for her, it was actually very quick, and like at the second time that we tried, that's when I was able to last for 30 minutes. And finally, for the mind and body connection or control, the best thing that I ever did was starting to meditate, specifically mindful breathing meditation. When I started to meditate, it was astonishing because it was like I was seeing how much bullshit was in my head, man. And it was difficult as fuck the first few days, but the more I was doing it, it was like I was able to feel my body complete. And during sex, instead of being this little bitch anymore, I was able to be way more charming and be there in the present moment. That helped me a lot, and I'm so grateful that I went through those things. And for you, man, with these practices, I guarantee that premature ejaculation sooner than later will be totally gone. Trust me, there's absolutely no way that you don't see progress, and before you know it, you're gonna be experiencing sex in a way that you never thought it was possible. You have my word for that. Again, man, if you want to be able to fuck for hours and be the man that leave her biting her lips anytime that she thinks about you just because of how much of a great lover you are, go and click the link in the description right now. That way you will not only overcome premature ejaculation and will last longer in bed, but you're gonna be the man that blows her mind, body, and spirit totally. You're gonna work together and make that a reality for you as soon as possible, so you can live to what is your full sex potential as a real man. But besides that, I really hope this helps you, and I'll see you later.